Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Complete Sports Media's podcast. I'm your host, Darren Campbell, and joining me as always on Monday, Jason Cameron. Hey, Jason, how's it going?
I'm doing well. I'm doing very well. It's been a great day so far. Excited to be back.
Nice. Yeah, so it was a very busy weekend, lots of sports to talk about for us. But the big news today we should get into right away is the huge signing of J.J. Watt. He found a team and he's making a move. Did you hear the news?
I think I did hear the news, but I'm not sure about the team. Where did he go? Where did he end up going? Arizona Cardinals. Okay. I wasn't sure, but yeah, I heard that it was the Arizona Cardinals. I'm kind of surprised at the pick, to be honest with you. Yeah. I'm kind of surprised. I was like, maybe he doesn't want to be cold anymore. I don't know, but yeah, okay, all right. I don't know what he sees there. Maybe he sees like with Kyler Murray being there and how exciting he is, and the fact that he got DeAndre Hopkins for nothing, like for a popsicle or something. So maybe with all of those things. And DeAndre, you know what? Let's roll that back. I bet you DeAndre Hopkins had a major part in getting him there.
He did, yeah. That's what I hear. Yeah, he had reached out to him and said, "Hey, let's join forces again. I miss you. I want you. Come here. We'll be a dynamic duo again. Me on offense, you on defense." And yeah, I heard that he reached out to him really early on. He had sent some tweets as well, and tried to strum up them as a potential possibility. He also is reunited with Vance Joseph, who was the coordinator in Houston for a couple of seasons early in his career. Vance is now the defensive coordinator in Arizona. So, and he also has 31 million reasons why he signed on the dotted line there. So 24 million guaranteed, 31 million for 2 seasons. So it's a lot of money. I don't know if other teams were willing to step up with that much cash for him, who's on the downside a bit.
Like a little bit on the downside. Let's be honest. Like a downside, J.J. Watt is still better than 85% of the league.
Yeah.
So I'd take that. I'd take that.
Some of the stats that he has that shows here that I've got most sacks in the NFL since 2012. Chandler Jones 97, J.J. Watt 95.5, and Von Miller 94.5. And Chandler Jones is in Arizona too, who decided a couple of years ago to move there. So the top 2 sack masters over the past 9 years are there. He is second in the league in sacks since 2011, first in batted balls, tied for first in fumble recoveries, and 4th in forced fumbles. And Chandler Jones is first in forced fumbles. So both those guys together, really, if JJ can stay healthy, they've got a formidable duo on that line, as well as, like we said, DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray. Last year they started really clicking. They started really getting their rhythm, and Arizona hasn't been very successful. A lot of people go there to retire. Obviously the snowbirds like going there as well. But we've seen some of the guys go there late in their career. Kurt Warner went there, obviously finished off his career. We saw Edgerrin James go there. We saw, some guys decide to do that late in their career, but I think strategically, he sees this as a potential to make the playoffs and maybe go far.
Yeah, with him as an addition to the team, they're definitely going to make some noise now. Yeah. And like you said, like now that the double dragon between him and Chandler Jones coming at the quarterbacks the way that they will. Oh man, that sounds fantastic. That sounds terrific. Yeah, they could make some noise now. They have the potential to make a lot of noise.
Yeah, they've only won one NFC West title in the past 11 years, or is it no, past 15 years? They've only won one NFC West title. That was 2015. So not a ton of success there, but yeah. So we lost your audio.
Sorry
We
about
lost
that.
your video for a quick second. We lost your audio right before, and now we lost your video, but you're back.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know. Yeah, I just had to do something real quick with the damn phone. Anyways, go on.
Yeah, they've only won one NFC West title in the past 11 years. That was in 2015. So not long-term success in the last little while, but with Kyler Murray there, with DeAndre Hopkins, with some of the assets they've got. Yeah, let's see. I want to touch on football a little bit later. There's some other stories to touch on, but that was kind of the biggest story of the day. A lot of rumors that he was going to go to Pittsburgh to be with his brothers, Green Bay to sort of go back to Wisconsin roots, Tampa Bay to maybe have the chance at the Super Bowl. I think he kind of shocked the world today and signed with Arizona, and good move on them.
Yeah, a great move for Arizona to get somebody of his caliber to come to the team. And also, too, they had the money, clearly, to pay the man. I'm just wondering. I'm kind of curious, though. I wonder if Tampa reached out to him. I wonder. Because I don't think they had any money to give him, but maybe they still did, and said, well, come over. We got this guy. It's 1-7. So, it's pretty good.
Well, it would have been stupid for them to not at least explore the possibility, because when you're the Super Bowl winning team, all your players probably are asking for more money, but players that aren't in your organization might want to come there at a reduced rate,
Yeah, exactly. Just to have the opportunity to win, because after a while, especially if you're like JJ Watt, long in his career now and tailing off now towards the end, he just wants a chance to win. So I think the Arizona thing it's interesting. I don't know if they can get it all the way done, but they should make the playoffs, I think, with him as an addition. I really do.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Okay, well, should we talk about the UFC card that happened on Saturday? It definitely was a very cautious heavyweight main event. A lot of people called it boring. A lot of people called it a lot of names. They were giving Ciryl Gane quite a bit of flack on social media. What are your thoughts about that main event that happened on Saturday?
Very technical, super technical fight. And if you love the subtle nuances of a technical fight where I've nullified what you're going to do, and now you're hesitant because now you don't want to do anything, and I'm just going to just do just enough just to win every round. Perfect. And that's kind of what he did. I get it from both of these fighters. They both have the power to shut your lights out at any point in time with any sort of strike. So they're going to be super cautious, and there's a lot on the line, there's a lot at stake, and there's a lot to lose. Because whoever loses this fight is now busted back down. They're now the forgotten man. They're out. And then whoever wins goes up the rankings again and again, right? So I understand that, but at the same time, this was not an exciting fight. No, this was not that kind of fight.
I was kind of disappointed that Gane was getting so much of the flack, because it was really Rozenstruik who should have started changing his style and started putting himself at risk to go after the fight, because after losing the first round, losing the second round, losing the third round, once you've lost 3 rounds, if your corner's being honest to you and you're being honest to yourself, it's time to, you got to finish it or you're losing. So for some reason, he just didn't bring the fight to him. All 5 rounds were won by Gane. Gane kept him at distance, was able to just, get in there throw a couple of really fast shots and then get it out of harm's way. And I'm really disappointed. It was Rozenstruik who didn't take the fight to him in those last rounds, which he really should have.
Well, you could just kind of argue he just didn't take the fight to him like at all. Like he just didn't do it. And I want to say that was more to the effectiveness of Gane with it, and the fact that he was actually setting up traps that Rozenstruik saw, so he didn't want to fall for it. But at the same time, it stifled his offense, where now he's like, I don't know what to do. So this is what I am going to do. I'm going to do nothing. I'm just going to do nothing. And that doesn't work either. Like, he needed to put himself in harm's way to win that fight, and he clearly wasn't willing to do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, nobody wants to be knocked out, but, you know, that, like you say, that moves him down the ranks. He's got to, you know, win a bunch of fights before he gets another shot at even, you know, contender status for a title. With Gane, he's only 8-0. He's only been fighting as a mixed martial artist for 2.5 years. He's just into his 3rd year, you know, coming up fighting. And so, you know, it's amazing to think how good he is going to be once he, you know, gets a little more experience, is in some really amazing battles. But yeah, Rozenstruik took a huge step back, and Dana White was very unhappy with both performances. They're lucky it wasn't a pay-per-view, because a lot of people would have been saying, give me my money back off of that.
Oh yeah, yes, they would have definitely been saying that. And obviously Uncle Dana doesn't like performances like that. He doesn't, because that doesn't push the UFC brand like at all. That doesn't do anything for the UFC brand. So yeah, he would love those kind of fights to be kept at a bare minimum, or just not happen at all.
But with Gane, you know, he's winning. Why put yourself in harm's way? You know, you're getting, if you lose, you're getting half of the money that you get if you win. So once he's won and realized, you know, I've got this guy, I'm beating him, you know, I'll just use this game plan unless he changes things up. And so, you know, it's hard for a guy to, why change when it's working, really? And you know you're going to win. You know you're going to get your win bonus, and you're going to, you know, have an opportunity to fight somebody in that top 5 probably now. So
yeah, exactly. And let's be honest, he coasted to the win because Rozenstruik helped him coast to the win. You know, like, he didn't actually have to put forth that much effort, especially in the later rounds, where you're thinking Rozenstruik's got to make a move, he's got to do something, and he just did not pull the trigger. It did not happen. And honestly, Gane did the right thing. He really did. He kept it safe. He stuck with his game plan, and he won the fight pretty easily, pretty handily. Yes, it wasn't to Dana's liking, but at the end of the day, he's not in the cage, so he doesn't care.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, there's lots of talk on who's next for Gane. They've talked a lot about Alexander Volkov being probably the guy, or the Black Beast. Black Beast said, you know, he doesn't think he's ready for the title shot. He doesn't think he deserves it quite yet. He would have called out Overeem, but Overeem's gone for 6 months. So it could be the Black Beast and Gane, which I think is quite a bit more to choose, you know, maybe too much to pick off for him at being so inexperienced and so young in his career. But Volkov might be a great opponent for him.
I think Volkov is the better opponent for Gane, because they're kind of similar with their styles and their movement, except Gane is super light on his feet. The guy moves like a much smaller man. And so
it's incredible to me. Yeah, I can't believe how light on the feet he is. He doesn't seem like he's a heavyweight.
No, he doesn't at all. So I want to see that kind of movement against a polished striker like Volkov, and see what he can do. Because obviously their striking is elite level, clearly. So let's see what he can do against like Volkov. Like, I think that would be a fantastic fight. And the other thing is, I don't know if Derek Lewis would be ready for that fight because, like, he has to work so hard on his conditioning, and this is pretty close. Like if they were to fight next, so I think the Volkov thing is probably more likely than the Black Beast.
Makes a lot of sense. John Jones was tweeting quite a bit during the fight and after the fight, and he said, "Man, I'm sure unimpressed with these guys. Geez, they better step up their game and put a much better performance when Daddy comes home," he said. And then Francis Ngannou got on and said, "What the heck is he talking about? He hasn't knocked anybody out in years, and he's planning on coming up here. Yeah, let's prove yourself before you start flapping your mouth." So it was kind of a nice little battle there between these guys, and Jones, I guess, was right in a little bit of a way, but he hasn't knocked out somebody in a few years, and I don't think he's going to be able to knock out many of these heavyweights. He didn't prove it much at light heavyweight. These guys are much bigger, taking harder punches from a lot bigger guys.
And also, too, we still don't know how he's going to hold up against their punches, against their power. We don't know any of that. So it's cool to flap your gums, so to speak, and talk a bunch of trash, but you still have to get in there and fight one of these guys, one of these men. And I look forward to when that happens. And it's not a sure thing yet that he's going to fight the champ, or is it now?
No, but I would say, bet your money on it. I would say that's probably what the UFC would like.
Exactly. So once he does get in the ring and he finally fights a heavyweight, Stipe, whoever wins that fight, then we're going to see. We're going to see how he reacts to a big man hitting him very, very, very hard. All right. And then also, too, we'll see if his power has increased since he's now a heavyweight. We'll see. I'm very curious to see how he's going to look once he gets in there.
Jones had a 13 fight win streak in light heavyweight, but it's definitely a step up in competition. I've seen some of his training videos, though. He does look strong. 252 pounds. He stepped on the scale the other day. He was hitting pads and sounded like he had a lot of power. So maybe he's doing it the right way. Maybe he's spending the proper amount of time, dedicating himself, maybe like never before. We remember about a year ago, he said, "Oh yeah, finally I'll have to train for these guys." And you and I were like, "Oh my God!" Like he didn't train really before, and he was that good. So maybe he'll realize he has to take it pretty seriously.
Oh, I really do hope he does, because those guys can crack and they can put your lights out on any strike. Literally, that's what heavyweights do. They can put your lights out on any strike. So he better be taking it seriously. He better not be thinking to himself, he's just going to walk through everybody. That's not going to be a thing.
Yeah, so it was too bad that the main event turned out that way, but the co-main event was actually a really super great fight between Nikita Krylov and Magomed Ankalaev. I really enjoyed this fight. I thought these guys really came, really displayed a lot of abilities, and it was a great matchup. I enjoyed it a ton.
Stylistically, it was fantastic because those guys can literally fight in any position, in any stage of the fight, whether it be on the ground, whether it be standing. Like they're elite at literally everything. And it was cool to see just how close they actually were. Because then after a while, it was just like, I guess the difference is going to be who wants it more and who can exercise their strength, which is just a tad better than the other guy. And that's all it was. It was just a tad better than the other guy. And so what you began to see was Ankalov's his ridiculous power was beginning to start to wear on Krylov as the fight went on. And then finally in the third round, where Ankalaev took him to the ground and kept him there, that's what won him the fight. And that was him exercising his will to win that fight. And that was all the third round, because I want to say, I think it might have been tied going into the third.
So, yeah, I think Krylov won that first round, and I think the judges said that. Ankalaev had top control for that second round, and so it was close, but I think he probably won that round. And then that takedown, really nice move, getting Krylov to the ground, and then he was able to just be able to scrape out that win with top control, and that's his 6th straight win. He's got the longest active win streak outside of Jones, who's moved away. So yeah, I think he's moving up the ranks. He was number 11 coming in, and Krylov was number 8, so they might switch positions type of thing. And top 10, he's going to start seeing some really, really high level competition.
Yeah, and rightfully so. Like he's earned his spot now, and I actually would like to see Ankalaev. If it's not a top 5 guy, that he's the next guy he's going to fight is going to be really close to a top 5 guy.
Rumor I heard today was Johnny Walker is coming up next for him, so that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, great fight, great matchmaking. I would love to see that fight. That would be a great fight, man.
Okay, the women's flyweight fight between Montana De La Rosa and Mayra Buena Silva. Hell of a fight too. I was super impressed with both ladies. They really, really, really took it to each other, and it was a fun battle back and forth. Really, really tough women, and it ended up in a draw because of grabbing the cage and getting a point deduction, which I think was warranted, and good on him for given the point deduction. But I thought it was a great battle.
Great battle. The referee was spot on with the point deduction, because it was as egregious as it gets. It was clearly a fence grab, and he just said, "Yeah, no, there's no warning there. You're just gonna get a point taken away." Now, if she hadn't done that fence grab, she would have won the fight. She had the fight, but she did the fence grab, right? And also too, Silva had the advantage in the tie clinch that she was able to incorporate, and then off the tie clinch with the elbows and the knee strikes, especially the knee strikes, really, really hurt De La Rosa with those knees, vicious knees. But De La Rosa, I really liked her movement. I liked the way that she was pot shotting and hitting her shots with her jab and stuff. But to me, just not enough against Silva. She seemed like the stronger lady in that fight.
She's gonna have to wear shades all this week, because her left eye was completely closed, and it looked pretty nasty. There was some really great head kicks, and incredible takedown defense for Silva. De La Rosa kept trying again and again to try to get her down, but I thought she just utilized incredible takedown defense, and 7-1-1, great record. I think she's forced to be reckoned with in that division. So with this bantamweight fight, I think was the fight of the night in my opinion. Pedro Munoz and Jimmy Rivera. We expected a lot of fireworks. These guys are super fast, really great at transitions, and wow, they were really throwing a very, very powerful shots. I was impressed with the whole fight, and Munoz took the decision there. What do you think of this one?
I loved it. I loved the fact that it was a rematch from 6 years ago when they first fought, and that now those guys are definitely way better than what they were 6 years ago, and it truly showed. Pedro Munoz's calf kicks are lethal, my friend.
Jesus Christ.
Lethal.
Yeah.
I cannot believe Rivera lasted that fight. That is the most extreme toughness I could ever even imagine. His leg had to have been killing him. It looked like the swelling was going from his calf up into his leg. Like even his knee looked swollen. Like, how are you still fighting and swinging hard?
Oh man, was he ever? Yeah, very hard punches. Yeah, throwing with all his might. It was yeah, he is a tough battler, and he was trying to make some adjustments, but Munoz was relentless on those calf kicks. And they, at the end of the fight, once the decision was made, they both pointed down at their legs and went, "Oh man, look at the damage there." And Rivera had given him a few pretty brutal calf kicks, but Munoz, man, those were lethal.
They were lethal, and that was the difference in the fight. That was it. That was literally it. So if those guys do it again, and please, please, UFC, do this fight again. Please do this fight again. I know Rivera's legs don't want to do it again, but I would love to see a third, because these guys, when they get together, that is literally magic in the octagon, man. That is fantastic fight. Fantastic fight, man.
He called out TJ Dillashaw. He said he wants to fight him next. We'll see. Yeah, there's a lot of people that want TJ, want to to put him back down the ladder and not give him a shot at coming back after the steroid issue. I heard some other names come up as potentials. Jose Aldo and Marlon Moraes were the two names that I heard bandied about as potential opponents for Munoz next.
Both awesome. Both would be great fights. Yeah, like I don't even. Maybe my only preference might be Marlon Moraes, because I think stylistically, I think that'd be a great fight. But then, so is Jose Aldo. You know what I mean? Like you can't lose with either of those guys fighting that guy. You just can't.
Yeah. So yeah, I love the bantamweight division. There's so many great fights to make. Always has been fantastic for the past couple of years, and yeah, I'm excited. It was a great showing by Munoz, and I think he's in line for a really exciting fight coming up. And that was a fight of the night, and hands down, in my opinion, it was really, really great. To lead off the main card, we had a featherweight battle between Bruce Leroy, Alex Caceres fighting Kevin Croom. And Alex is a veteran. He's been around for a really long time, and he's exciting. He's really fun to watch, got a ton of personality, and now he's really rejuvenated himself. He's on a 4-fight win streak, and yeah, really great to see him come in, take a young guy to school, and show his skills. Tough guy to fight, though. He would be hard to try to get a hold of and try to land some strikes on, because he's got a really great style.
Yeah, his style, you can't really emulate that from any of your practice partners in the gym. You just can't. Like, it's the way that he moves, the way that he throws his strikes, all very, very, very good. They're all unique to him, right? And also, too, the one thing that I was super impressed about with him in this fight is takedown defense. Stellar. Fantastic. Like, Kroom could not get him down, and he tried. He put everything into trying to drag him to the ground. Pulled guard, did everything, and it just was not enough. It was not enough. And then at the end, in that third round, because of Kroom's effort in trying to drag him to the ground, he had nothing left.
He was gassed.
Nothing. Completely gassed.
He was very gassed. Yeah, Caceres actually stuffed 15 of 16 takedowns. So yeah, incredible. He was ahead 30-26 on 2 judges' scorecards, 30-27 on the other. He was in the Ultimate Fighter in 2011, so he's been doing it 10 years already. That was his 24th UFC fight. His record isn't phenomenal, but he's been in the mix for a real long time, and yeah, I was really impressed with his everything about him that night was fun to watch. And yeah, I think he might finally get an opportunity to fight some ranked fighters and maybe keep on this win streak and keep going. I think he's an up-and-comer that's been around forever, hasn't fought the top-level competition, but I think maybe he's in line for some now.
Yeah, like he's been fighting for a long time, and then it seems that now he's finally kind of putting it together. And if he gets 2-3 more fights, man, like he's gonna be right there. 3 more wins, yeah, he's gonna be right there. So I'm excited to see what he can pull off now, where he's gonna go from here. So and I hope nothing but the best because I love watching his fights. Exciting.
No, he's fun. Yeah, he's a really fun fighter to watch. So okay, the featured fight of the prelims was the lightweight battle between Thiago Moises against Alexander Hernandez, and it was a really close fight. Hernandez actually looked completely shocked at the decision when the decision was read that it was 30-27 on 2 judges' scorecards, 29-28 on the other. He just didn't seem like he thought he lost it all. And it was interesting how Moises was talking to him the whole time. He was trying to intimidate him. It was a great battle, but yeah, I thought Moises won, but Hernandez seemed more shocked than I've seen many fighters in a long time.
Yeah, he seemed baffled. Because, and I guess to a certain extent, I kind of get it because he felt good in that fight, clearly, and he was actually doing quite well. But I think that the difference from what the judges were seeing was that Moises was countering, was so effective. It was so effective in that fight that gave him more in the fight. Like that gave him more of a push that he was winning the fight because his counters were slick, powerful, and just always on point. And I thought that was definitely the difference in the fight. And then also too, after nearing like I want to say the end of the second, but definitely into the third, Moises looked like the fresher, stronger fighter, especially once in that last minute or so where he was just yelling at him and stuff, which was kind of cool because he was really confident and feeling himself at that moment in the fight, knowing that he probably won the fight.
Yeah, no, you're right. The conditioning was phenomenal. He wasn't breathing hard at all. He was talking to him the whole entire third round, and he was sort of goofing around. And that he's with American Top Team, and so is Munoz, and those guys. They're very well known for their cardio and their great work. I've seen a lot of their training videos where they'll do a 5-round fight, and it'll be 5 fresh fighters coming in for each round. So you got to be, very, you got to keep your conditioning way up when you're fighting in Florida, with that temperature, as well as, that team, which is one of the most dominant in the whole UFC.
Yeah, and it shows, right? Like it shows with their fighters and the quality of their fighters. And it shows too that these guys don't gas. Like if you're counting on them gassing, forget about it. You're just gonna have to fight these dudes. Yeah.
It was a very impressive performance there by Moises. So, okay, let's talk about the women's bantamweight fight. Sabrina Mazo came in the heavy favorite, coming in with a 9-1 record against the Canadian Alexis Davis. Davis hasn't fought in about 2 years. She was away from the cage. But we talked about a veteran with Caceres schooling a younger guy with Kroom there. This happened here. Alexis Davis was really great on her BJJ, and she was able to really ground out a fantastic victory. She was being outstruck early on and looked like, Mazo's definitely gonna be able to take it to her, but she was able to turn it around, get her on the ground, and dominate, control the fight for the rest of the fight on the ground. And it was impressive.
It was impressive because she was able to flip the script pretty quick. And the one thing that I thought was like very interesting about her approach to this fight, she did not chase the takedowns.
No,
she didn't do that. She was just opportunistic. So when the opportunity came, she took her down.
Yeah.
And it was a very smart game plan for her not to go chasing the takedown. She's just like, I'll take what's given. And so that first round where she threw a high leg kick and she just caught the kick and took her down and then kept her down for the rest of the round, right? And that's kind of how she played it. And I thought it was really smart. And then also too, she utilized the calf kick to slow her opponent down, to so that her side to side movement was impaired greatly, which made her easier to take down. It was a very, very smart game plan by Alexis Davis. It was a great win.
No, another thing that I noticed as well is she's fighting at 135 now. She said she was having a really hard time cutting weight down to 125, and for the flyweight, bantamweight is more her style. She said she constantly felt really depleted going into these battles at 125. She said she really doesn't have to cut weight at all, and this is just her natural weight. And I think it's a very smart move for her and her camp to put her there. And yeah, it was great to see her. We've missed her 2 years away from the cage. Nice to see her have a triumphant return.
Yeah, it was great to see it. And it also, too, again, like I said, just a very, very smart game plan against her opponent. And she executed it beautifully.
Yeah, okay. There was a great bantamweight battle between Ronnie Lawrence and Vince Cachero. A knockout halfway through the third round for Ronnie. Tell me about this one.
Lawrence looked absolutely fantastic against a very, very good opponent. Yeah. Like Cachero is no joke. Like, these guys brought it. Cachero was very aggressive, even off his guard on the ground game. Like, he would not accept the position, but Lawrence just floated over top of him all the time. Like, he had a counter for anything that Cachero was throwing at, like, literally every single time. And eventually, once it got to that third round, what was the combination that put him down? I think it was a spinning back kick to his liver, then calf kick to sweep the legs out. Then he took him down to the ground and eventually ground and pound finish for the win. Yeah. It was super impressive, man. Super impressive.
Yeah, no, that was incredible how he put it together. And once he got him down, he was just relentless. Yeah, the referee just had no choice but to stop it. And there's another guy where, yeah, you got to be super impressed with the way he started seeing the advantages that he had and was able to finally utilize them and win this fight. Yeah, it was a very cool finish. And yeah, I really think he's got a ton of potential. I love how he moves. I love the way he was able to make that transition and get him down and then just finish the fight real quick.
Oh yeah, man. And I love his post-fight interview where he basically wasn't happy. It's like, oh man, I sucked. It's like, really? Did you now? Did you suck now, right? No, and I love the fact that he's a perfectionist. He's just like, no, there's a ton of things I could have done better. And I'm like, well, if you actually then put it together the right way that you see, oh man, I can't wait to see that in the octagon. I can't wait to see that.
That was cool. Yeah, Felder was kind of shocked when he said, no, I wasn't happy at all. And I got lots of things to improve on. And yeah, good on him. I'm glad he wasn't happy. Yeah, but I thought it was a very impressive performance. So yeah, good on him. The opening fight of the night was the light heavyweight battle between Dustin Jacoby and Maxim Grisham. I was mad at Grisham, and I'm kind of glad that he lost. He came into and stepped on the scales at 210.5. So 4.5 pounds over the 206 pound limit. Just not fair, not cool. And yeah, he took the decision loss to Jacoby, who put on a very impressive performance.
Very impressive performance. Again, a very astute performance because he knew that Grisham would be the bigger man, which he looked huge. Like he really did. Like compared to Jacoby, he looked massive. And so Jacoby danced and took him into those deep waters, took him into the later rounds because he knew that his conditioning would suffer from his lack of making the weight or trying to make the weight and then,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, no, it was great. I was really happy for him, and he's on a 4-fight win streak, and it was a great way to start the night off. I like seeing the light heavyweight division because they've got a huge amount of power, but they have a ton of speed. So when you see those guys, usually you're seeing some really good knockouts. This one went to decision, but I was impressed. A really nice way to kick off the night.
Yeah, it was a great fight to start off the night. Again, obviously disappointed that the man didn't make weight, which he should have, but he didn't. But it was great to see Jacoby come out with the win. And again, he moved great. His cardio was on point. And he was very effective with his calf kicks again, which seems to be the attack of the year so far, is those calf kicks.
Yeah, they're going to have to figure out a defense for it because, it's the new way of fighting and neutralizing your opponent. And these guys are going to have to, come up with a way to neutralize that, or, their legs are going to be compromised. That's going to stop their ability from being able to shoot in for takedowns. They're going to have a lot of problems with their stand-up. And, it is a good way to, definitely put your opponent in a compromising position. But with every action, there's a reaction, and these trainers should be able to figure out a way to combat that.
Yeah, they should. But like as Paul Felder said, it's a hard one to combat because even if you block it, you're still blocking it with the calf. So there's still some damage happening all the time. So basically, as Felder said, you have to just avoid the calf kick altogether. That's how you get around that. And how do you do that when these guys are so savvy and effective at hiding it and then just unleashing that thing? I'm curious to see what fighters or what camps actually figure it out. I'm looking forward to that.
Sure, me too. Yeah. So that was a fun card. I really wish the main event would have been more exciting, but still fun fights to watch and break down. I'm glad we had an opportunity to do that. This is the 1st of March today, and we finally get into some really big pay-per-view cards. And this Saturday coming up is the biggest one of the year. We've got 3 title fights on this card. And I couldn't be more excited. You and I talked last week about being able to get together and be able to watch this fight live and do our podcast that way. And I unfortunately received some really terrible news over the weekend that we can't do that because I was in close contact with someone that contracted COVID, and now they've put me into a 14-day quarantine. So I won't have anybody visiting me. I won't be able to go anywhere. And I guess we're going to have to maybe get on the phone a little bit and talk about some of the fights while they're happening. But unfortunate we can't be in the same room, but we might be able to pull it off doing something like this where you're there, I'm here. Well, let's hope, because I'm excited more than I have been for a long time for a special card like this.
Yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed. It sucks, I'm sure it was nobody's fault. I'm sure he didn't want to pick up that tissue paper. I'm sure the person that did that contacted it. I'm sure. But at the end of the day, man, this card is going to be exceptional. It's going to be so good with these 3 title fights on, and I'm so looking forward to it. Especially, just going to jump right into it. The Peter Yan Aljamain Sterling fight. That's my fight. I can't wait to see that fight. I can't wait to see the best Funk Master come out and fight that dude that's from the deepest, darkest part of Russia. Like I watched like the preview for the fight for them, and I loved it. I loved it. I love the fact that we're Aljamain Sterling. Wow, he come from New York, he's a New York guy, he came from a large family. But then the best part was Peter Yan. All you see is some log house in the middle of freaking nowhere on a frozen lake. Dude's just standing there, just like, what is this? Ivan Drago all over again? My God.
That's awesome.
It was awesome.
Nice.
It was awesome.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Reminds you of the old Rocky footage where they were doing those training camps. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I remember you said that Peter Yan was one of the guys that actually scares you, just looking at him, looking how intense he is and how good of a fighter he is. He's, has scaring you, but Aljamain, I think, is going to pose a huge amount of trouble with him. And I'm so excited that they've been able to pull this together, because I think most of that bantamweight division, Peter Yan probably can win, but I don't know if he can beat Aljamain. I really don't know.
Because Aljo, he presents a very hard puzzle to solve, because he doesn't fight like anybody else in that division. He's funky. Just like his namesake, Funk Master. He will strike at odd angles. And then even when he goes into his grappling and submissions, he'll hit some weird submissions on you, man. He'll take literally whatever is given. Before you know it, you're just caught in just the weirdest leg lock ever, and he's got it. I'm super looking forward to the fight, man. I really am, because Peter Yan is as tough as it comes. That guy will walk through everything and anything just to hit you a couple times, and he's going to hit you hard.
Oh yeah, he sure is. And I'm thrilled that they've pulled this together, and I think it's a real stiff test for Peter and Aljo. Yeah, he's been on a great rise recently, and yeah, I think he has the best shot at beating him in this division by far, and it's going to be exciting. And it's not the main event, and it's not the co-main event. The main event has the light heavyweight battle between Jan Blachowicz and Israel Adesanya. And do you think Adesanya, moving up in weight, can beat a guy like Blachowicz? Maybe he doesn't have the possibility of knocking him out, but maybe because of his speed and quickness, he's got the ability to win this decision-wise. But yeah, how do you see it going?
I think he definitely is going to pose a problem to Jan, because I see with Israel a kind of a smaller prototype of John Jones. All right. And I don't, I'm sorry, Jan. Sorry. I just don't see Jan beating John Jones. Okay. And so with Israel coming up in weight, yeah, he's going to be still look like the slighter, lighter fighter, but now Jan's going to have to deal with that dude's speed and his pinpoint accuracy, because whatever he throws, he's not going to miss. And if he misses, it won't be by much, and then he'll adjust, and then he's going to hit you the next time. So this is not an easy fight for Jan at all. And I'm you know what? I'm going to say it. I think Israel wins this fight. I think he becomes the next champ. Yeah.
He's undefeated. He's been on an incredible tear in his division, but yeah, moving up, it can pose problems for a lot of guys. But if he's able to, maintain the speed, put on the weight and maintain the speed and technical ability, I think he poses a huge amount of problems from Blachowicz. And Blachowicz, when he beat Dominic Reyes, it was actually a massive upset. I don't think anybody had Blachowicz beating Reyes when that happened in September. And he's kind of a champion that most people weren't expecting, especially a few years ago. He just didn't seem to be, he didn't seem to be the type of guy that was going to rise up to the top of that division.
Well, no, he didn't seem like the guy that was going to rise to the cream of the crop. And again, I'm sorry to bring this up, Jan, but the dude left. The champion of your division left. Okay? That's why you had the opportunity to fight for the belt. Now, if that dude was still there, I don't know, Jan. I don't know if you beat that dude. I'm sorry. I don't know if you beat that guy. So there it is.
Blachowicz is he's on a 4-fight winning streak. He beat Reyes, Anderson, Jacare, and Luke Rockhold. His only loss in the past 9 fights was to Thiago Santos. He beat Nikita Krylov, Jimmy Manawa, Jared Cannonier, and Devin Clark. So yeah, I mean, a lot of really good battles, a lot of tough opponents, and he is the champ. I don't know what do you think if you were running his camp and you were his main coach? What do you tell him? How do you tell him to beat Adesanya?
Take him to the ground and beat him up. Take him to the ground and beat him up. Use your superior size, because I'm pretty sure he's still going to have a size advantage. Grapple him, grapple him, grapple him. Do not give him any airspace whatsoever. Do not give him a chance to breathe. Try to suffocate him and grapple the living hell out of him. Because if you give that guy space, because his stand-up is better than yours. So don't give him any space. Don't give him a chance to strike. Don't give him a chance to dance. Don't give him a chance to do any of that. Grapple, grapple, grapple. That's what I think should be his game plan, and he should stick to that like his life depends on it, because it might just.
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah, I think that's an exciting, fun fight to anticipate, and I think it, has all the trappings of a really fun fight to watch. I don't know about the co-main event, though. Amanda Nunes seems like so superior to all of her opponents. Megan Anderson, has been okay, obviously is the next in line, but Amanda, yeah, I mean, she's the greatest of all time women's fighter, holds a belt in 2 weight classes, and yeah, she's only been on the shelf since September, so not as long as a layoff as a lot of people expected. I think Amanda, cleans up as usual.
I think she's a lioness, right? So she's just gonna eat this opponent and move on to the next one to eat. She's gonna see this prey and just kind of tear her apart. Megan Anderson, she's got those long limbs. Hopefully she uses those to her advantage, tries to use distance in her striking, but yeah, no. I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see any way that Megan Anderson has a chance to win this fight. Maybe a lucky shot, like a miraculous, godlike lucky shot. But other than that, nah, man, no. I don't see it. I don't see it.
Yeah, don't see it either. But yeah, we've got 3 title fights on the card. We also have got a great fight between Islam Makhachev and Drew Dober, and that means Khabib is in Islam's corner. They're going to, I think they're going to have another conversation with Khabib and decide once and for all, is he going to come back or is he going to stay retired? And that opens up the lightweight division for a new champ. Do you think Khabib says, I'm done, or I'm coming back?
He's gone. I don't think he comes back, man. I'd like even the fact that, given the fact that the 2 lightweight fights were impressive, as well as far as I'm concerned, they were impressive. I don't know how Khabib views those, but I thought they were impressive. But I just have the feeling that he's not interested. I don't think he wants to come back. I don't think he wants to fight any of these dudes. I don't think any of these dudes actually pique his interest, so to speak. So I think he stays retired, to be honest with you.
I hear that Conor and Poirier are in negotiations. They're far apart in numbers right now, trying to make this trilogy fight between them. But I think that they'll make this happen, and we'll see either in May or July, we'll see a title fight happen between those 2.
That would be awesome. Now, there's many things that Conor has to get right, and number one being like, I think he's going to really have to push his pace in his practices. I think his cardio is going to have to be better than it's ever been. Period. Like ever been. Like he's going to have to be literally in the best condition of his life if he wants to beat this man. And I think Poirier is going to come in and say, I'm just going to put a stamp on it. I'm going to make sure that you're done. And if Poirier beats Conor again, he kind of is done. The whole mystique and all that other nonsense, all the stuff about Conor, done. It's just kind of gone now, right? Because that's a guy that's beat him twice, and we've seen that Conor's vulnerable. He is beatable, right? Yeah. But if he wants that mystique to come back, he's gonna have to put in a performance of a lifetime against this dude, because Poirier is that good, and you will have to bring everything to beat him. Everything. Because if there's one thing that's for sure, he doesn't want to lose this fight because he wants the belt. He wants that belt. He's been dreaming about it for years upon years, and he's been so close all the time. I don't think you're going to have to bring everything just to beat that guy. Everything.
Yeah, I'd actually put my money on Poirier this time.
Yep.
I thought Conor was going to win this last time, but Poirier has really just progressed to a point where I think he's the class of that division outside of Khabib. And if they get an opportunity to fight for that belt, I don't see Poirier losing out on that situation and finally getting to wrap the real strap around his belt, around his waist. And it's going to be exciting, but they're talking about putting it together. There are 5 title fights this month. UFC 260 has the heavyweight and featherweight battles. So we've got 3 fights happening, 3 title fights happening this Saturday. And then in a couple weeks from then, the heavyweight and the featherweight belts will be on the line. So a lot of amazing scraps to come. Kind of cool to see Dominic Cruz back. He's the feature fight in the prelims. He's facing Casey Kenny. Do you think we're going to see the old Cruz?
I think so, because as Cruz said, there's no ring rust. He doesn't have that. It's not a thing for him. So I would imagine that we're going to see a very, very excellent, dominant, maybe with a couple of new wrinkles to his game, Dominic Cruz. I love Dominic Cruz. I love watching this guy fight. Because he's such. It's when you get into the octagon with Dominic, that's like a chess master. He's playing chess with you at all times. At all times. And so if you think he's going to do this one thing, then it's a trap to set you up so he can hurt you over and over and over again, right? I really love his game. I love the way he sets things up. I just love the way he fights, man. I can't wait to see it. And also, too, I expect to see a great, stellar version of Dominic Cruz, because, like I said before, and like he said, there's no ring rust here. He doesn't even know what that is. He has no idea what that's going on.
Yeah, that's it makes me laugh because, come on, of course there is, but he's always been just dismissing it, completely. But we'll see. He's always been a phenomenal fighter. He's had a little bit of troubles he's had tons of injury troubles and hasn't fought a lot in the last few years, but very entertaining fighter. And I'm glad he's coming back. Joseph Benavidez is fighting Askarov, which will be a cool fight to watch. We've got a huge amount of early prelims as well. Man, this is the most stacked card that the UFC's put on in years. And hopefully COVID doesn't rear its ugly head and knock any of these fights off. And the fight to start the night on the main card is Thiago Santos against Alexander Rakic, a heavyweight brawl as well. And we got to do something. We'll figure it out through the week. We'll talk a little bit, and maybe we'll do it for maybe the main card or top 3 fights, something like that. We should do a little bit of this, and I'll put it out on Sunday morning or Saturday night late or something. And I'm super disappointed we're not going to be able to get together and watch this. I was planning on getting a lot of beer and a lot of food, and we were going to watch a ton of great fights, but I guess we'll have to watch it at distance like this.
Yeah, we will. And I'm disappointed, but you know what? We're going to make this happen eventually. We're going to make this happen. Like once you're out of your quarantine jail, once you're out of that, right? We're going to get together and we're going to make it happen, right? But we'll do what we can for the fans, and we're going to put something together for this incredible card that we have coming up here.
Yeah, I'm super pumped. I can't wait. It's gonna be incredible. So, okay, we've went pretty long already, but why don't we squeeze in a little bit of b-ball talk? There was a lot of fun basketball on the weekend. Were you able to catch many games this past weekend?
Oh, I did. I watched. I know I watched some games. My goodness, why is nothing coming to my mind? I think there was Bucks played last night. Did the Bucks play? Yes, the Bucks played
The Clippers.
Yes, great game, man. Because Giannis came to play, my friend. Oh, he was super impressive in the fourth quarter. Dominant, looked like the MVP, man. You know what? I just got to say, I love it when it's these marquee matchups, and then these guys are like, well, hey, I heard you think you're pretty good. It's like, no, I actually am pretty good, and I'm going to show you in this game. I'm going to show you. Yeah, it was back and forth. It was just a great game to watch, man. Great game to watch. Loved it.
That was a super phenomenal game to watch. I was totally impressed, and Milwaukee took it to him in the fourth. Giannis, when he got that dunk with 10 seconds left, I don't remember seeing that much exuberance from him in his whole career. He looked like that was one of the most happiest moments he's ever had, and he knew that was kind of the nail in the coffin, just firing through that lane. I cannot believe how far he can take off and dunk the ball. The Greek freak, he is a freak, and when he's on like that, man, there are a tough team to beat.
Yeah, like the amount of distance he covers with those ridiculous strides of his. It's like where he was at half court. I swear he was at half court, and all of a sudden he dunked the ball. Like it's amazing. It's amazing. And when he's on and when his team is on, they look like world beaters, man. And the other thing that I want to point out in that game, because he finally came back after COVID, was Drew Holiday. That dude is going to be a central piece to their run in the playoffs this year, because he is that good.
Amazing. They missed him really bad. He had COVID and battled it, and he said he had some pretty tough symptoms. We're super glad that he's recovered and come back. They had a five game losing streak, and then he comes back. Now they're on a 5-game winning streak, and he's a very integral part. They really sorely missed him when he was away, he was such a good pickup for them in the offseason, and I think he's a super key piece.
Oh yeah, he's going to be a key piece, and there's a reason why they went out and got him. Yeah. Total upgrade, and he's a defensive stopper. He can guard the opponent's best offensive weapon and lock him down. That's actually how good he is. When he's on, he's really on. And every NBA player knows how good his game is. And they know how good defensively he is when he's right and when he's on. He's just a monster out there. I can't wait to see what he does in the playoffs, because once he gets to the playoffs, that man has shown he steps his game up exponentially. I can't wait to see it. Can't wait.
This is Giannis's last 5 games, what he's done. So he scored, he had 36 and 14 last night, 38 and 10 the game before, 37 and 8 the game before that. Against Sacramento, he had 38 and 18, and then he scored 36 and 12 the game before that. And he's only the second player in Bucks history with 35 plus points in 5 straight games, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the only other. It was kind of cool to see him start passing a lot of the old Milwaukee greats and seeing Kareem there, as such a dominant force. And once Milwaukee was able to convince him to sign a long-term deal there and stay, once they had to get out of the funk they've been in a little bit this year, man, they are a really, really good team. And look out the East. They're going to be the one of the biggest forces to be reckoned with.
Oh yeah, man. Oh, for sure. And you know what, to a certain extent, I never thought Giannis would leave Milwaukee. I think he's of the certain type where he finishes what he starts. So he started there with the Bucks. They gave him a chance. They believed in him. So he's going to do everything in his power to get them that championship, And also, too, I believe he became 4th all-time scorer in Bucks history after passing Michael Redd. And then the other people that are on the list is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, number 1, followed by, oh man, I hope I get this right, Big Dog Glenn Robinson, followed by Sidney Moncrief, and then Giannis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible that he's up there already. Yeah.
Milwaukee's
been a franchise for so long, and yeah, it's incredible that he's 4th already, and yeah, starting to chase down some of the legends there. And yeah, it was incredible. On the other side of the fence there, the Clippers, both Kawhi and Paul George had many opportunities to score down the stretch. They were 0 for 9 in their last 9 shots, 0 for 6 from behind the 3-point arc, and weren't able to score any buckets to try to close out the victory. They were leading going into the 4th quarter, and not really able to score the buckets that they needed to try to pull out the win.
They let it slip through their fingers. Like they had it, and then it was that was gone, man. And I credit the Bucks more than the Clippers' failure, because the Bucks, I want to say, they amped their defensive pressure up, and still George and Kawhi, they had their moments, they had their opportunities, they just missed their shots. And it happens like that sometimes. But hopefully, for that team going forward, when they hit their playoff stride, those shots that they missed in the bubble, hopefully then they hit those shots. And they need to go through regular season games like this to know what it takes to win those games when it really counts down the stretch, right? So yeah, man. But they just did not have it that night, and it was definitely the Bucks night.
We were talking about Drew Holiday being able to be such a key piece for Milwaukee. I think LA needs a point guard. I think they're seriously lacking a guy that's gonna be able to distribute the ball properly, score when those other 2 guys aren't on, or one of them's being covered too well. The 4 guards that have been playing point guard for the Clippers this year have been Beverly, Reggie Jackson, Lou Kennard, and Lou Williams. For some reason, they always like Lou coming off the bench. So it's between Beverly and Jackson, and they're getting about 8 points a game, only averaging 2 to 3 assists per game. I think they need to make a move and try to bring in a point guard from somewhere else.
Yeah, because they don't really have any true facilitators of the offense. I want to say that Paul George can do it, but that's not really his game either. You know what I mean? Like I've seen that he's more integral in bringing the ball up and stuff like that. But you are right. That's a piece that they're kind of missing for that offense. And if they were to have somebody like the Suns have, like Chris Paul, that might be the thing that makes them really go, But they would have to make a trade, and they'd have to make some moves to get a person of that caliber, or a point guard like that, a true facilitator, to come over. And I don't know if they have the pieces, or if a team is willing to move that piece to get whatever they have coming back in return.
Yeah, well, with the Clippers giving up so much to get Paul George, that's really hampering them on trying to help a team that is rebuilding, trying to get some draft picks and stuff like that. They just don't have it. So Yeah, we'll have to see if they can bring somebody in, but yeah, as I mentioned, their point guards that they have on the roster right now aren't facilitators. Lou Williams is a great scorer, but he's not going to be able to distribute the ball to who they need to. So there was a lot of really intriguing matchups over the weekend, but one of the best games turned out to be last night. Charlotte Hornets against Sacramento Kings. Both teams are, a bit struggling this year, but Charlotte was down 8 points with less than a minute left and pulled out this victory. It was one of the most amazing comebacks I've ever witnessed, and so fun to watch. Charlotte has become much watched TV for me. They're playing right now against Portland, almost finished the second quarter, and they're right there, 2 points, 2 points out behind Portland, but Charlotte's great. Terry Rozier has been really fun to watch. LaMelo Ball has been coming in as a rookie and being spectacular. Last night he had 24 points, 12 assists, and 4 rebounds. And PJ Washington with a career high 42 points and 9 rebounds in 42 minutes. And man, it was wow. I wish you would have seen that. I wish I would have recorded it so I could send it to you, but man, that was fun. That was really, really exciting basketball.
Whoever would have thought that Michael Jordan would finally figure it out? I couldn't be happy for him because the Charlotte Hornets, they're great. That's great basketball to watch, man. And they're still missing one of their key pieces. I think Devontae Graham is out right now. All right. And so that their future trajectory couldn't be brighter at this point in time. And Gordon Hayward now looks like the Gordon Hayward we always knew he was. All of a sudden, that dude is hey, they're paying me a lot of money. I know it looks like I stole money. Like it looks like I stole it. But no, I'm actually that good still.
Yeah.
And he is, and he's proven that. And then Terry Rozier. I like to call him Scary Terry now. This dude's scary. He's scary, scary man. And he's been balling out. He's been playing so well. So well. I just love this team. I love the pieces that they have. I love the guys that come off the bench. One of my favorite players is Miles Bridges. He's the most violent dunker I think I've ever seen in my life. And he's got LaMelo that just goes, hey, any way I can get you a pass, you're going to get a pass, man. Anyway. And again, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I love the way that kid passes the ball. I love the way that kid passes the ball, man. It is a pleasure to watch. I guess maybe I could go with Showtime in Charlotte. Showtime in Charlotte.
Wow.
Maybe, man. Maybe.
Well, it's really cool that you and I mentioned. I asked you who your team was, and you told me Charlotte a couple of weeks ago. And we had a nice discussion about it, and all of a sudden lately, this has been emerging as one of the teams to watch, and they haven't had that team for a few years, and so it's great to see. I even had somebody ask me if you were from North Carolina. They said, "Oh, he's a Charlotte fan. He must be from there." They didn't know where where you were born, where you grew up. So they asked you if that's why you were a Charlotte fan. But I said, no. We got Larry Johnson. We got, all these amazing guys that were playing back then. And that's where he got the appreciation for that team.
Oh yeah, man. I was a huge fan. Charlotte fan. And Muggsy Bogues.
Muggsy, oh man, what a great guy he was.
Yes, he was, man. And I just love the team. I love the team, and I love the fact that the Hornets are now somewhat becoming relevant again. And it's just nice to see, and especially that the guy that they had a lot of question marks about when LaMelo Ball came in the league. It's like, well, I don't know, is he really that good? And well, I guess we have that answer. He is actually that good. You could say he's exceeded expectations up to this point.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay, let's say some of the other things of the weekend. Lakers were able to blow out the Warriors. They talked about that being a great battle, but it really wasn't. LeBron only actually played 24 minutes. I think maybe one of the lowest amount of minutes he played. And I talked about him getting a little more rest, so it was good. 19 points in 24 minutes, so the huge win over the Warriors. The Knicks, they're shocking everybody. They're actually over 500, and they're looking pretty decent. I don't know how they pulled this off. There was shocking news today, though, that Lloyd Pierce got fired in Atlanta. That was pretty surprising to me. I thought they would give him a lot more opportunity. They've been decimated with injuries this year and really haven't had the full complement of guys. They made a lot of offseason moves and to try to surround Trae Young and John Collins with a lot more talent around them. And those moves I thought were great. Bogdanovich was great. Danilo Gallinari, Rajon Rondo, Chris Dunn. But all those guys, except for Rondo, have been injured. And then DeAndre Hunter had knee surgery. So I didn't feel like it was a fair shot for Lloyd Pierce this year, but 14 and 20 just wasn't cutting it for their general manager, and they let him go. And I heard it's going to be Nate McMillan probably being the replacement.
Former Supersonic. All right. Nate McMillan. Okay. Well, you know what? I would say this with the change in coaches, at least with Nate McMillan, he's going to have more of an emphasis on their defense for sure. Because he's a defensive-minded coach. And so I would imagine that their defense is definitely going to improve in that respect. Regardless of all of that, the team is still not the team. Like with all those injuries that you just said, oh man, like they're not going to be able to show their full potential. They're probably actually not going to be able to show their full potential at any point in time this season, because I think some of those guys are permanently on the shelf now with some of those injuries. So next year, once all of those guys come back, all those pieces, man, that's a team I'm very much looking forward to seeing for sure.
Well, Trae Young was the LaMelo Ball of last year. Trae Young was so exciting and fun to watch, but they lost, so many games last year. And, when you look at Lloyd Pierce's record over the 2 seasons plus this one, he was 63 and 120. So rough, but wasn't given the team until this year. But Bogdan has missed 25 games this year. Danilo's missed 9. Chris Dunn has yet to even play this year, recovering from ankle surgery. And DeAndre Hunter, he's missed 16 games with knee surgery. But they handed out $72 million to Bogdanovich, $61.5 to Gallinari, $15 million to Rondo, and another 10 to Dunn. So a lot of money, a lot of hype, a lot of okay, let's make Atlanta relevant again. And I guess Pierce was the fall guy. And but I love Nate McMillan, one of my favorite all-time players, one of my favorite all-time coaches. Really great to see Supersonics still represented in the league. And I was glad to hear that he's being moved into the head coaching role. He was brought in as an assistant coach this year, and looks like he's moving up the ladder.
Yeah, and he's got to be super happy about the fact that, I get this team that once they're healthy, it's going to be really good. I'm super excited. Sorry about the other guy. Yeah, that kind of sucks for you. You actually get to use your team, but I do, and it's going to be great. Oh man, yeah. If I'm Nate McMillan, I'd be overjoyed at this point in time, because what he's going to focus on is tightening up their defense, because he's going to have the offense when those guys come back and they're ready to play and they're healthy. He's going to have that. But if he can get their defense on point, oh man, whew. Atlanta fans will have something to cheer
about. Okay, let's just talk really briefly about some of the goings on. Raptors have had 2 games postponed now. That's 31 games in the NBA, but this first time that it's affected the Raptors. They played the other night with no coaches and Siakam out, but they actually even considered doing a player coach, and Kyle Lowry was first on the docket as the potential, but they ended up finding a coach and utilizing him. But tonight, or actually last night, they didn't have 8 players available, and they had to cancel tonight's game. And I think most of this week's going to be affected. COVID has somehow few positive cases there and some close contact like I've been involved in. And so now the Raptors are not able to play for this week, it looks like.
Yeah, and that's what the NBA has been dealing with these teams that because the teams are not that big in the first place, right? It's not in like an NFL team. So once one guy gets it, and all of a sudden, would you look at that? We got no more coaches. That's great. I don't know what we're gonna run then. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It sucks. It sucks. But I'm more impressed with the fact that the NBA has just sojourned on. They're just bulldozing their way through, and they're figuring it out as they go along, which is quite impressive. Yeah. Quite impressive.
The Nets have been really impressive. They lost last night. They won tonight, but they were on an 8-game winning streak and really starting to round into form. They lost last night with Kyrie out again, dealing with some type of shoulder problem right now. But yeah, I don't know. I think they're the class of the East. Them and the Bucks. Sixers are still up there, 23-12. Best record, but to me, it's the Nets and the Bucks that look to be the class of the East.
Yeah, the Nets and the Bucks, and I'm going to throw another team in there, is the 76ers. The 76ers look pretty good too, and Joel Embiid is looking like a bona fide. He's making a run for MVP. Yeah, he's playing that good. He's playing that well, and I'm actually kind of impressed with how quickly Daryl Morey's come in and changed the look of that team and has all these shooters around for Ben Simmons. And on top of that, I want to say that Ben Simmons has been probably playing his best defensive basketball I've ever seen. So I would say you have those two in the East, and I just add that third, that the 76ers are right there too as well, along with those two other teams.
Miami Heat's won 6 in a row. They're back up to 500 now, and I think they've pulled everything together. They even won last night without Jimmy F. and Butler. So, yeah, good on them. And, yeah, nice to see. I hope they keep rising up the ranks. They're fun to watch. I was watching the pregame show yesterday, and they had Paul Pierce decided he wanted to talk about the top 5 MVP candidates as we're really close to the All-Star break. And he picked James Harden as a #1 MVP candidate. This is his list of 5: Harden, Embiid, LeBron, Kawhi, and Donovan Mitchell. And I thought that was a kind of a cool list. Any comments about that list?
It's different. I'm going to be honest. There's a couple names on there I was not expecting. Like I wasn't expecting him to give any love to Donovan Mitchell. And I'm glad he did. In direct confrontation with Shaq. Man, I guess they're gonna have beef next. Okay, I guess that's a thing. So, but it's an interesting list. It's an interesting list for sure. Because he didn't have Giannis in there, right? No Antetokounmpo. Even though after what you just said about his last 5 games, yeah, I guess he's garbage. He's not very good. But. Because I'd have Antetokounmpo in there in my top 5. I agree with Joel Embiid for sure. LeBron is he's ridiculous. He doesn't even make any more sense. He doesn't make any sense. No.
Jalen Rose came right back right after he saw that list and said, come on, what are you talking about? Don't you remember how brutal he was in Houston? He's talking about James Harden. Don't you remember how brutal he was in Houston, wearing the fat suit and not playing at all? And what the hell? You have a short memory. He comes here, they win 8 in a row, and suddenly now he's top MVP candidate. He said there's way more guys that are having way more complete seasons than Harden is. And he listed off LeBron, Embiid, and then he said Kawhi, and then there was some names that weren't on that list. Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, Steph Curry, and Damian Lillard. Said all those guys have been good right from the start of the season, completely the whole year, and they deserve way more recognition than Harden coming in and finally pulling it together and going on this 8-game winning streak. You got to base it on the whole season, don't you? That's what he was saying. So it was good.
No, and I agree with him. I completely agree with him. I completely agree with him because I have a real problem having James Harden in any of the conversation for MVP because he quit on his team. MVPs don't quit on your team. I'm just going to say it like that. MVPs don't quit on the team. MVPs don't wear fat suits to the freaking game. MVPs don't do that. They kind of conduct themselves on a different, higher standard. So, with that being said, James Harden out of the conversation. He's gone. He's done. The only person that I might consider off the Nets, maybe, I'm sorry, it's not Kyrie either. If KD comes back and he just starts just balling out, which I know we both know he can, then I consider him. That's it. And he's the only one I would consider off that team.
Thanks. Couple of quick notes. Luka Doncic's rookie card sold for $4.6 million this weekend. The most expensive basketball card ever. $4.6 million. Shocking news that his rookie card's worth that much already.
How? What? No, I mean, okay, wait. Okay, I'm gonna wait. So, because like there's still like a lot of his rookie cards out there, unless
probably there must be, unless it's some special one that was cut wrong or has some funny lettering or somehow rare. Because there, you would think he's so young into his career that there'd be tons of cards out there, but somebody paid $4.6 million for it.
Yeah, like unless the card was so rare that it was made of gold inlaid with silver and platinum, and then that's why it's $4.6 million. Like, I don't get that. I think that's freaking awesome, and I think that Luka's card would eventually get to that point. I've never heard of a card getting to that state in 2 years, ever.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's awesome. But then it just goes to show how good Luka actually is. So there you go.
The other story that came out about Luka was that he's being compared to Larry Bird, and I was like, "What the heck? Why? You can't compare to Larry Bird already. Larry Bird won 3 championships, was one of the greatest of all time, but all of a sudden we heard the sources today." And it was Cedric Maxwell and Rick Carlisle both saying that they remind him of him, and they both played with Larry. So it sort of had a little more legitimacy to it because, none of the NBA players that are playing right now played with Larry Bird. So they have, a way of really doing that comparison. But it was kind of cool. They asked Luka about it, and he said, no, come on, I can't be compared to him right now. No, forget that. But when you see some of their numbers, they look quite close. And it was kind of neat to hear some of Larry's former teammates saying, this is the guy now.
Yeah, no, that's very cool. And I love the fact that Luka immediately shut it down and say, nope, I won't hear any of that. Thank you very much. Because you're talking about Larry Legend. And I'm not at legendary status yet. And that guy is. So, but I find that very intriguing that his own teammates said, no, this dude's got a lot of Bird in him, a lot of Bird's game in him. And he does, because he's so crafty with his movements. And that's what Bird did. He was super crafty with his movements in and around the basket and stuff. He was super cerebral. And Luka is super cerebral as well. And I think that's the similarity that they see with him and Larry.
Yep, that's true. Yep. I guess the last thing I want to mention is that Joakim Noah decided today he is retiring. He had a great run in Chicago, 9 years there, 7 years making the playoffs, 13-year career, was Defensive Player of the Year, and made a couple of All-Star teams. Says he wants to sign a one-day contract with Chicago and fade off into the sunset. He played 5 games with the Clippers last year, and they waived him in December of last year, and he's not been picked up by anybody else, so he's decided to hang him up.
Yeah, man. Well, you know what? He had a very, very good run. He had a great career, especially for what he brought to the table, which was a lot of energy and effort. Kind of remind me a lot of Dennis Rodman with the way that he went after and he rebounded the ball. He rebounded the hell out of the ball. And I'm sure the Chicago Bulls will honor that, give him the one-day contract so that he can retire as a Chicago Bull.
Yeah, I think they will. He was a really key piece for them for many years. And yeah, I think what's it going to hurt? You might as well do that and honor him. And yeah, I hope that happens this week for him. So yeah, that's a basketball story. In the West, we didn't really touch the West, but Jazz are running away with it right now. Lakers and Clippers are 2 and 3, Phoenix 4, Spurs are in 5, which is surprising to me. Blazers 6, Nuggets 7, Warriors 8, Mavericks. I do want to remind you and remind the viewers and listeners that they are actually having a play-in tournament game this year. So the top 10 teams are actually making the playoffs in a way. They're going to have 7 to 10 face each other so that they can get the top 8 eventually into sort of a playoff format. So yeah, so the top 10 teams this year will be considered playoff teams.
Yeah, that'll be fun, man, because I love the effect that it had in the bubble. It just generated a lot more excitement than what you normally are used to. And then in these trying times, excitement is good. Excitement is something to look forward to, is good for everybody. So yeah.
We started off the show talking about some NFL football, and we talked about J.J. Watt signing. I think we should just make a mention of a couple of football things that happened today. Washington has decided to part ways with the comeback player of the year, Alex Smith, who was 5-1 as a starter for them last year, but they've decided they're moving on. I hope he can find a job somewhere, being a backup probably. That comeback was incredible, almost dying from the injuries that he suffered on the field, and being able to come back and be successful and help Washington, but they've decided to move on.
Yeah, it's kind of, I understand the move for Washington because they're probably just super scared of what might happen if he were to be seriously injured on the field, right? I get that. But at the same time, I'm still cheering for the guy, still rooting for him. And I hope he finds a position somewhere in the NFL because he deserves it. He's earned it.
Sure hope so. Yeah, I hope so too. And they've talked quite a bit today about Russell Wilson. He's rumored now to be going to the Cowboys. They're trying to work out a deal between the Seahawks and the Cowboys that Dak Prescott would go to Seattle and Russell would go to Dallas. Kind of weird move for Russell to make, but what are your thoughts?
How did that sour so quickly? That's my thought. Like, how did that all of a sudden go from toast of the town to I'm out? Good luck, everybody. And I would love to know what happened behind the scenes between him and the Seahawks. Was it because of the fact that he wanted a little bit more say in player movement or player personnel? Was that actually it? And then the Seahawks said, "Oh, what did you say? You're out of here. You're gone." Like, honestly, like the guy was running for his life a lot the last couple of years with Seattle. So he probably just wanted a strong offensive line, which is kind of what every quarterback wants. You see how clean Tom Brady was? You know, it works.
It works, yeah. You don't want your quarterback being sacked as much as Russell Wilson has, and it doesn't make sense. that, you know, I think I would have been mad years ago because he's always constantly getting hurt and, you know, getting driven into the ground by these monsters that are chasing him. And the Seahawks have, oh no, we'll just keep getting offensive guys, prolific offensive guys, and some, you know, try to fill in more guys on the Legion of Boom, but not getting the offensive line that he needs, you know. So yeah, it soured fast though, didn't it? Wow.
It did. It did. And for me, I look at the fact of what are you going to get back once he leaves? Are you going to get somebody just as good as him? And I don't think so. And I don't think so. And then it's almost like now both parties are just unwilling to make it work. Like it's done. It's a done deal.
Seems like it. Super crazy. Yeah. There was rumors that he had said, I don't want to trade, but if you do trade me, I have 4 teams that I'm interested in going to. One was the Cowboys, one was the Raiders, one was the Bears, and the other was the Saints. And obviously he'd only go there if Drew Brees retired, but Drew Brees released a workout video today that was pretty cool and pretty impressive. And you should try to find it, Jason. You should try to find it, viewers and listeners here. He was pushing a sled down and up a hill, and they were timing it, and he looked like he's not done the way they were posting this video on him. Okay,
my next question is, Drew, can you throw the ball 50 yards down the field? You know, because it was so glaring that his arm strength wasn't there. So for your next workout video, Drew, show us you on the run, throwing the football down the field. I don't need to see you pushing a sleigh. I don't need to see that. I know you're strong. And I know you're tough because you came back from many, many broken ribs and a collapsed lung. Yeah. You're super tough. Got that part. Can you throw the ball still? That's my question.
Yeah, that's incredible. Super amazingly good point. You know, like we all know he's tough, but can he throw the ball still? Yeah, I mean, that's the most crucial part of the position. So, yeah, let's see your arm strength. Is it still there?
Yeah, I'd love to see that. So whenever you want to come out with your little workout, you know, like with whatever music you got to it, like maybe you got the touch, you got the power, and then you just throwing the ball, and you're just like, I do have the power, you know. So do something like that. That'd be great.
Yeah, good point. Good point. So yeah, well, there's obviously going to be a ton of musical chairs with quarterbacks moving. Lots of different teams want to get a new quarterback, and quarterbacks are leaving, and yeah, it's going to be evolving. But that was big news today. JJ Watt going to the Cardinals for a couple of seasons, and yeah, I guess we'll see. They say that franchise tags have to be signed by March the 9th, so we're just over a week away. Dak Prescott's franchise tag is $37.7 million, and so they're trying to make a deal. If the deal between Dallas and Seattle has to be made, they think it has to be made before that franchise tag gets put on them. But yeah. It's funny how the NFL can still stay in the headlines and stay kind of relevant in their off season. They're pretty smart with keeping them, getting headlines and getting stories out there still.
Of course, because they're the NFL. They're the biggest thing on the planet, and they know it. So they just bully everybody else. It's like, oh, you guys want to talk about basketball? Really? Hey, let's talk about our quarterbacks. All right. And everyone's like, yeah, man, let's do that. Yeah. Okay. So what's going on? What's happening? What's happening, NFL? Please tell me, please. Because we consume that. We need more. We just need more.
Eat it up.
Very good at doing that, giving it to you.
Well, hey man, this was fun as always. I really love breaking down the sports with you. I look forward to doing this every Monday, and it was a pretty fun UFC card, but this Saturday coming up is going to be an epic one that we talk about for years and years. Can't wait to break that one down with you. Thanks for talking about some basketball and football. Always fun, man. This was great. And this will help me with my quarantine. I'll be able to watch this podcast a bunch of times over the next week before we do it again.
Yes, man. Yes. And I love it too. I look forward to this Monday all the time. And at least since you're in quarantine jail, guess what you get to do? You get to watch a lot of sports.
That's
that
true.
I'm a little bit jealous of. I'm a little bit jealous of you on that. So guess what you can do? I'm going to allow you to do this. You can just text me throughout the day and be like, hey, man, what are you doing? So this is what I'm eating. This is what I'm doing. These are the games I'm watching. And I'll just be like, well, I'm out in the cold, man. And I'm working. Fantastic. It's great.
Yeah, I'll try not to rub it in too bad, but yeah, I think I'll send you a few texts just to say how great of the time I'm having here in quarantine.
Yes, please do that. So you can remind me. It's like, oh, quarantine not that bad. It's not that bad. But all right, my friend, you stay safe and you stay well. Okay.
Thanks, buddy. You too. All the best. We'll talk soon.
Talk soon.
Okay. Bye for now. Wow. Geez, that was one of our longer podcasts, but a lot of fun as usual. We're having so much fun with doing this, and I hope you're enjoying this half as much as I am. It's such a great way to spend a Monday breaking down the weekend of sports. There's always so many things to watch and have fun checking out. I want to thank our partners and sponsors before we go. Please bear with me. We've got Anchor, great partner and sponsor for Complete Sports Media. They've been fantastic on posting on multiple podcast platforms for us, and they call themselves the easiest place to make a podcast. So just go to anchorfm.com and follow the details, and you can do something fun like Jason and I do every week. We want to talk about Rivera, the hockey equipment and apparel company, industry leader in technology, performance, and value. And as I say every week, get yourself a V350 stick, impress your friends, impress your teammates, and even your opponents. Very explosive and the lightest stick on the market at 350 grams. Pampas Impossibilities. They design and sell dried florals. They do floral arrangements and installations. They're designers of handmade, curated, pretty things with West Coast vibes at reasonable prices. And check them out on Instagram, Facebook, and our website. And last but not least, Forever Living, the aloe vera company. They grow and manufacture aloe vera-based products for health and beauty. And aloe vera has been celebrated for centuries for its soothing, cooling, and moisturizing properties. So the place to go is CompleteSportsMedia.com. You can find out tons of details, purchase products at reduced prices, and support our partners and sponsors. So thanks so much. I really appreciate you tuning in. Sorry I had to give you guys the bad news this way that I'm quarantined, but I have no symptoms. I'm sure I did not catch COVID. I've been very, very careful with wearing a mask, social distancing, washing my hands, using hand sanitizer as often as possible, and keeping super safe. But I was in close contact with somebody that contracted it, like probably a lot of you out there that have had unfortunate close contact with people that have got it. And I just hope and pray for them and all the people that have been affected by this terrible virus and the pandemic. I'm glad to hear there was a rollout today of how fast we're getting vaccines in this part of the world, and it sounds like they're coming a lot quicker than expected. So that's great news. And you take care of yourself. Wish me well with my quarantine. I haven't had to do this since last year in March. I'm starting to get prepared, but got lots of sports to watch, lots of podcasts to do, and things to work on with our website. So thanks so much for your support and your time as always. Love you guys lots. Take care of yourself. Have a great week ahead, and we will talk very soon. Take care. Bye for now.